200% agree. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Hey there. I saw an interesting article on Yahoo Finance today that I wanted to go over in a video. I went through some of it and I thought this would make for a good conversation. For anyone who's seen any of my videos so far, which is not many because I just started this channel, you know that I'm a big Dave Ramsey fan. Dave and his program and the community surrounding him gave us what we needed to get started and to get through $97,000 of mostly student loan debt. Go through the article here, which is called Dave Ramsey Says There Are 10 Reasons You're Not Getting Ahead. And we'll go through those 10 reasons, talk a little bit about them. And before we get into it, do me a favor, like and subscribe to this channel. Help me grow it. Help me get this message to more millennials who are in similar situations and want to get out of debt, maybe take control of their money this year. So the article is written by journalist Sarah Cunan. I'm sorry if I butchered the pronunciation there. Cunan? No, we're going to do this right. We're going to figure out how her name... I think it's Sarah Cunan. She's a staff writer at MoneyWise. Sorry, Sarah. The number one... Hi. Number one on the list of reasons is that you're trying to tackle your biggest debts first. So what he's referring to there is the snowball method, which is what his program recommends, as opposed to the avalanche method, which is one of the other big ones you hear in the personal finance community. Snowball method, real simply as I can put it at least, is you take your loans, you line them up smallest to largest, and that's the order you pay them off. Because in doing that, you get some quick wins right up front. And that keeps you engaged. That keeps you in the game and wanting to keep going. Because if you do the avalanche method, which is the largest interest rate first, which may be on the biggest loan, you may not have a big win for quite some time because it takes a longer time to pay it off because of that higher interest rate. And if you commit yourself to paying off your debt within, a year at least, it really doesn't matter which method you take. Maybe the avalanche method saves you a couple $100. I ran the math out once. On the $97,000 we paid off, it would have saved me maybe a couple $100, which doesn't sound like it, but it is peanuts when you look at the entire loan. So that one's easy to agree with because I lived it. It definitely works. I highly recommend the snowball method. The number two thing that you're doing is you're rationalizing those frivolous purchases. This article suggests that with a little bit of budgeting, most people learn they're not nearly as strapped as they think they are. 100% yes. I did a video that I'll link below where we went over how to write a budget. We actually wrote a budget and we talked about really how important budgeting is. It also says overspending is what keeps Americans in debt, especially the attitude that you deserve what you want. 200% agree. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. This is something that kind of bugs me about people my age. And look, the millennials are always getting crap for this, but you probably don't deserve half of the things you have talked yourself into that maybe you think you deserve. Look, back when bars and restaurants were open, I think that was a big problem. I know it was a big problem for me, thanks to the budget. Finding ways to justify $100 to $300 nights out, and doing it too often, a couple nights a month, that really starts to add up. So yes, 100% agree. You should not be justifying buying things and experiences that you cannot afford. Number three, you rely on credit cards too much. Oh yeah, isn't that a big problem for a lot of people? I know people who have been in that situation, and that is a mess, and that is an overwhelming mess. And if you are in that position, I feel for you, I really do. And and if you have high interest rate loans there, that could be really burying your future potential. It could be burying your ability to buy a better car, to get yourself into a house. If you want to have children and feel comfortable about it, yeah, credit cards, that's a very tricky game. That if you don't play it correctly, it can really, really bury you. Number four, you always insist on buying new. I like this. Assuming your car has 4 wheels, that's good enough for Dave Ramsey. Yeah, I agree with that. There is nothing wrong with many of the $4,000 and $5,000 cars out there. Seriously, if it has 4 wheels and it's safe, if you can get away with a $2,000 car, even better. Or if you have a family member, maybe an older family member who's getting rid of a car, and you can work out some kind of nice deal where you pay very little for it. My wife's car, which is a Kia Sorento? Forte. My wife's Kia Forte is only worth like maybe $7,000-8,000, and it works great. In fact, if we take long road trips, it's safe enough that we have no problem taking it, and it gets great gas mileage. All that to say, no, don't talk yourself into a new car. Instead, buy the car that you can buy with cash. Don't get yourself into a car loan. Okay, yeah, maybe the interest rate's low or zero, but ultimately you're putting your money into an asset that's going to go to zero. Number 5, you spend when you could invest instead. Well, that one needs a little nuance, doesn't it? I mean, I guess it depends on what you're spending. So, for example, I have no issues with the amount of money we spend on food. We spend, I think it was roughly 22 to 27% of our take-home pay on food because we eat organic, we eat grass-fed, as clean as we possibly can, which comes with a price tag, unfortunately. It's something like 7% more expensive to eat organic foods than non-organic foods. So that costs us a little bit more, but we're comfortable with it because we know it fits in the budget and we know we're not messing with our retirement. We're still putting our 15% of our gross wages towards future us, and we're putting an appropriate amount, like 5 to 30% of our take-home pay each month towards a house, which is our next big financial goal. Also, this doesn't make the point that you shouldn't be investing unless you've paid off your debts, minus the mortgage. Number 6, you think only fancy colleges are any good. Yes. This is a big one. Oh, this one really bothers me. There is the misconception that people have where they're like, well, the better the school, the better the job. Yeah, not necessarily. Something I learned recently just really kind of rocked my world. It was a study from 2019 on Fortune 100 CEOs, so the top of CEOs. And while a lot of people would probably have the conception that, oh yeah, most CEOs in America who are making all the big money, they must be all Ivy League. Not even close. The study, and this was published in Forbes on Forbes.com, of the Fortune 100 CEOs who even completed college, because yeah, some of them didn't, 89% graduated from non-Ivy League schools, with only 11% having graduated Ivy League. 47 of the top 100 CEOs graduated from state schools. And then what's even crazier is when you get down to the top 10, 80% of them have undergraduate degrees from public institutions. And yeah, no, CEOs are a very hyper minority of the entire workforce in America. But I think that serves as a pretty good example that no, you don't necessarily need to go to a really good school to get a really good job. There are so many different factors that go into play when you're getting a job. So yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. You come from a family that can afford an Ivy League school, or you have the connections or whatever, hey, good for you, that's great. But don't fret it. If you're going to state school, I went to Slippery Rock University of Pennsylvania, I turned out just fine. And then that kind of goes into number 7, which is you graduated and then you splurged. Yep, oh, I remember getting out of school and thinking I'm a big boy now, and I went and I made all kinds of big boy mistakes with my money. The author writes that by limiting your expenses and buying necessities on the cheap, you can take some time to clean up your debt. You can build your emergency fund and start saving for things you want and need down the road, like a better car. That comes down to how willing are you to delay gratification for the sake of something better? Are you willing to always live kind of in a constant state of financial mediocrity where you're frequently worrying about how you're going to pay for things? Or are you willing to take a couple years out of school and lay low, keep living like you were in school, and then by the time you hit 30, you have more freedom to do some of the things you want to do? So 100% agree. If you're watching this and you're getting out of school, lay low, live at home if you can. Don't do that for too long though. You do want to have the experience of getting yourself out of the house, but do it smart. Don't just jump out when you have nothing. Maybe build up a little bit of money and then leave the nest. Number 8, you're giving your kids an allowance. I don't have any kids, so I can't really contribute much to this. Number 9, you want to get rich as quickly as possible. While it's great to come into a sudden windfall, Ramsey says it's better to build a fortune slowly and sustainably. Yeah, we don't all become overnight millionaires. Sorry if you haven't either. That's not something as easy as hitting the lottery, which oftentimes isn't even good for you, or getting a huge inheritance. It's a matter of following some set principles for an extended period of time. That's how you're going to see that payoff. This is a good list. And the number 10 thing on the 10 things that you're doing wrong with your money that are keeping you from wealth, according to Dave Ramsey, is buying an engagement ring from a jewelry store. Oh yeah. Fellas and ladies, do not go crazy on the ring. Dave says use a month of your salary, not the 3 months you often hear. I think he once said that, or somebody said once that 3 months was like a marketing campaign that was perpetuated by the people selling the diamonds. So, and you know what? If she doesn't like a ring on 1 month's salary, Again, that's not a one-size-fits-all or anything, but you know what I mean. Jen's ring, when I bought Jen's ring, I did not have much money. Now, fortunately, she's a very small person, so I didn't have to buy a big ring. But when I went to put it on her finger, I was worried that it wasn't enough and she wasn't going to like it. And to my great surprise, she absolutely adored it. Hey, I get it. That's something you really worry about. But like a lot of major purchases you're going to make in life, I know, it's a tragedy that a lot of that is completely overinflated and hyped. So hey, great article from MoneyWise on Yahoo Finance. I'll link it below if you want to take a look at it yourself. Again, couldn't recommend Dave's program enough. And if you liked our little conversation, subscribe and share this on social media. I want to try to grow this channel as big as I can because debt is a big issue, especially with millennials, and life is tough enough. You don't want to have to worry about money. So I want to get some information out to the general public as quickly as possible. Thanks for stopping by. Catch you next time.